For months of case preparation, 1 in 100 applicants receives the offer. You are that one. By 28, you are in the room advising the executives who run the largest companies in the world. By 30, your team bills $400,000 a week. None of that prepares you for what comes next. The name on your business card opens every room you ever wanted to be in. The Sunday flight opens something else entirely. 6 months in, the business class seat stops feeling like a reward. 12 months in, you stop explaining what you do to people who ask. The further you climb, the more the job and the person doing it begin to diverge. What nobody tells you before you sign is what each level actually costs to reach. Level 1, the summer intern. You are 21, 10 weeks. The firm flies you in, places you in a midtown hotel the first weekend, and pays for everything before you have produced anything. This is the first signal about how this industry operates. Clients pay. Expenses disappear into client codes before they feel real. You will learn to think this way. You are placed on a live engagement immediately. No simulated projects, no exercises designed to make you feel useful. A pharmaceutical company is rethinking its go-to-market strategy across 4 European markets. Your team has 3 consultants, an engagement manager, and a partner who appears on Tuesdays and Fridays for a combined total of roughly 6 hours a week. You build the market sizing analysis for Germany. You build the supporting slides. The engagement manager reviews them at 11 p.m. and sends them back with 11 comments. You address all 11, and by Thursday, one of your slides appears in the client presentation. The partner does not mention your name. The slide is yours anyway. You earn $32,000 for the 10 weeks. The work runs 60 hours a week. You calculate your effective hourly rate once and do not revisit the figure. At the end of week 10, a partner you have met twice calls you into a glass-walled conference room. 2 minutes. Return offer. Full-time starting September. Base salary of $112,000. You say, "Thank you." You return to your hotel and call your mother. She asks whether it pays well. You tell her it pays fine. You do not yet tell her what fine means. On the final Sunday, you board a plane home. You will be on a plane the following Sunday, and every Sunday after that for the foreseeable future. You simply do not know it yet. Level 2, the associate consultant. The offer was real. The summer was not. You are 22. Your base salary is $112,000. First year total compensation, after a $50,000 signing bonus and a performance bonus calibrated to average performance at a firm that does not employ average people, lands around $130,000. The number looked different before you saw what rent costs in the city where your office is located. The Sunday flight is your life now, and not metaphorically. Every week, a different city, the same Marriott lobby, the same breakfast alone at 6:45 a.m. before the client day begins. Houston one week, Chicago the next, a hotel in Atlanta on a Monday night where you order the same salad from room service because it is the only item on the menu your body still processes correctly at that hour. Thursday night is the flight home. Friday is emails and internal meetings from your own desk. The weekend passes. Sunday evening, you are back at departures. Your apartment accumulates hotel toiletries and unopened mail. Your plants died in October. You replace them with a succulent because someone mentioned succulents survive neglect. It thrives. You do not examine this too closely. The work is frameworks. Everything at this level is a framework. The client has a problem. You build an issue tree. You decompose the problem into components that are mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. You analyze each component. You synthesize the analysis into a recommendation. You place the recommendation in a slide with a headline that states the conclusion, not the topic, and supporting points that prove the headline. This is called the pyramid principle. You apply it to everything now: emails, conversations, how you explain things to your family over holidays. They stop asking follow-up questions around month 4. Your friends from university send messages. You respond from a gate at Houston Hobby at 9:48 on a Thursday night. They are at a bar. You can hear the background noise in a voice memo one of them sends. You listen to it on the plane. You are 22 years old, and you are building the most valuable professional credential available to someone your age. You know this. It helps more than it should have to. At month 18, a headhunter calls your personal number. A private equity firm. Operations role. Total compensation of $240,000. You do the math. The math works. You ask for a week to consider it. You spend the week thinking about who you are without the name on your business card. You do not arrive at a clean answer. You tell the headhunter you are not ready to move. You open the deck. You begin the next slide. What happens to that answer when you are ready to move is the question the next 2 years will answer. Level 3, the consultant. You have an MBA now. 2 years at Wharton, Booth, or HBS. $220,000 in debt. Worth it? The financial model says yes. The model does not account for the particular weight of returning to an airport on a Sunday night feeling 3 years older than you did when you left. But you understood what you were buying, and you bought it deliberately. You are 27. Your base is $192,000. A performance bonus brings total first-year compensation to roughly $265,000. The signing bonus covered 4 months of loan payments and is gone. You do not think about the loans. You think about the workstream. You own a workstream now, a defined portion of the problem, yours to structure, analyze, and deliver. You manage junior associates. You review their work. You return it with comments. You hear yourself and recognize the sound. You were in their position 14 months ago. The client begins addressing questions directly to you, not through the engagement manager. They call you at 11 p.m. You respond, because the engagement manager is watching whether you respond, because the relationship requires it, and because, frankly, you still find the work interesting enough that you do not mind. You are the face of the firm to a senior vice president at a medical devices company whose organization is paying $480,000 a week for your team's time. That SVP is 46. He has 20 years of industry experience. You have 4. Both of you are fully aware of this. The engagement functions regardless, because you carry structured thinking, 23 PowerPoint templates optimized for executive communication, and a presence the firm spent 7 weeks calibrating during onboarding. He presents your slides to the CEO. The CEO approves the direction. No one in the room mentions the 27-year-old who built the analysis. Exit pressure at this level is different. Headhunters are no longer calling about junior private equity roles. They are calling with VP titles, Fortune 100 strategy positions, and total compensation between $280,000 and $340,000, with real equity, real upside, and a desk in a single city on Tuesdays. A colleague just accepted a chief of staff role at a Series C company. She appears happy. You are not entirely sure whether she is happy or whether you have spent enough time in hotel rooms to have lost your reference point for comparison. You have a plan. 2 more years, make engagement manager, then reassess. Everyone at your level has that plan. Most have held it since the associate level. Some will still be holding it at principal. Level 4, the engagement manager. You run the project now. To the client, you are the firm. You are 30. You manage a team of 5, 2 consultants, 2 junior associates, and an analyst on loan from the data practice. Every slide, every model, every client interaction runs through you. The partner sells the work and appears at key junctures. You deliver everything in between. That distinction carries significant weight inside the firm. The client does not see it. To the client, you are the relationship. Your base is $220,000. Total compensation in a strong year lands around $320,000. You have been on 51 flights in the past 11 months. You know this because your airline status tracks it for you. Top tier on 2 carriers. Upgrades are automatic. You stop noticing upgrades around month 6, the way you stop noticing anything that began as exceptional and became routine. The nature of the work has shifted. Less analysis, more translation. You spend your day unblocking your team, restructuring slides that are not landing, managing the client's anxiety when findings diverge from their expectations, managing the partner's expectations when the timeline slips, and managing the junior associate who is close to tears over an 11 p.m. revision request, who reminds you of yourself at that age in a way that is uncomfortable to sit with. You are the membrane between what the data actually says and what the room can absorb. A CEO calls you directly on a Wednesday morning, not the partner, you. He has a question about the operating model before his board meeting on Friday. He has led this company for 19 years. He built it from 400 employees to 11,000. He is 61 years old, and he is asking you how to frame the answer for his board. You give it to him. Clear, headline first. He thanks you. You sit with that for roughly 40 seconds. Then the consultant messages with a question about the assumptions in slide 14. You answer it. You move on. This is the job. A headhunter emails, VP of Strategy at a consumer goods company with $9 billion in revenue, $390,000 total compensation, real equity, one city. You read it on the Thursday red-eye home. You close it. You tell yourself you will think about it when this engagement ends. The next engagement begins the Monday after this one closes. It always does. Level 5, the principal. Partnership is close enough now that it makes everything harder. You are 34, one level below partner on the org chart, and one decision away from the only outcome that would justify everything that came before it. Total compensation in a strong year reaches approximately $450,000. The number is genuinely exceptional. You stopped registering exceptional 3 levels ago. The principal role is the firm's final evaluation, and the exam is not about delivery. You have demonstrated delivery conclusively. The exam is origination, bringing in clients, cultivating CEOs who call you by first name and trust your judgment before the partners are in the room. The partners observe whether those calls come to you directly or whether you remain the capable number 2 on engagements they themselves control. You have been developing 3 relationships over the past 16 months. Dinners in Chicago, San Francisco, and Zurich. A conference appearance you arranged specifically because a CFO mentioned a topic in passing at a forum in January. A white paper on AI integration in supply chain operations that you distributed to 12 people, one of whom forwarded it to 30. One of those relationships converts to a $2.6 million transformation engagement. Your name appears on the proposal, on the team slide, in the appendix. The partner's name is on the cover. You understand the logic. You are not yet a partner. The client purchased the firm. You are still in the process of becoming the firm. Most days, you believe in that distinction. The private equity firm that called 2 years ago calls again with a revised figure. Head of Portfolio Operations, $600,000 in total compensation, plus carry-on active deals, the kind that compounds materially if the portfolio performs. You ask for a week. You spend it sitting with one question. Who are you without this name on your business card? The answer is still not clean. You decline. You tell yourself it was not the right opportunity. You have said that before, 3 times now, each offer more substantial than the last, and each time the same answer. The partnership decision is in 8 months. Level 6, the partner. You no longer travel the way you used to. You are 39, a partner. Your compensation is a share of firm profits, $900,000 in a good year, $1.4 million in a great one. The figure varies with firm performance, with the composition of your client book, and with whether the industries your clients operate in experienced a year of growth or a year in which organizations paused and declined to commission strategy work. Your relationships do not vary. Those are fixed. Yours, the reason the number exists. You walk into a boardroom and you are the firm, not a representative, not an engagement manager executing a partner's instructions. The firm itself. The CEO across the table approved this engagement because you entered the room and said the right things in the right sequence. If you left tomorrow, that client relationship would leave with you. The firm understands this. You understand this. The leverage is real and entirely unusable because there is no available path that carries more meaning than the one you occupy. You have examined the alternatives carefully. You remained. Your team delivers everything you sell. Consultants, engagement managers, principals, they take the Sunday flights you used to take. They build the decks you used to build. You spend 45 minutes on a presentation someone spent 40 hours constructing. Your 45 minutes is billed at a rate that exceeds the cost of their 40 hours. The allocation is correct. You work at believing this consistently. Your son turned 9 on a Wednesday in April. You were in Zurich. You called at 7 a.m. his time. He held the birthday cake up to the phone screen. You told him it looked incredible. He said thanks and handed the phone to your wife. You are the firm's most valuable asset in your practice group. That asset has not attended a school event in 3 years. You have photographs from the ones before that. They feel as though they happened to a version of you that shared only the same face. Your client book generates $12 million in annual fees across 8 relationships. You enter pitch meetings as the room itself. You sell confidence. The product, at this level, is confidence. You have learned to sell it in situations where you privately hold none, a skill that required longer to develop than any technical capability the firm ever requested. and one the firm never requested directly. You learned it by studying the partners above you and internalizing that certainty is not a feeling. It is a performance, with sufficient repetition behind it to become indistinguishable from the genuine article. You are very good at this job. You are simply no longer certain who you were before it. The hierarchy you just ascended does not show you everything. There is a woman named Aurora who works 12 blocks from one of the offices where you started. She is 38. Her title is Chief Strategy Officer. Her company generates $8.4 billion in revenue across 32 countries. Her annual consulting budget is $260 million, allocated across McKinsey, BCG, Bain, and 14 other firms. When she determines that a team is underperforming, the team is replaced before the engagement closes. When she elects not to renew a relationship, the relationship partner absorbs the loss of $7 million in annual fees and spends 3 weeks in internal reviews explaining the outcome. Aurora spent 2 years at McKinsey directly after completing her undergraduate degree. She left at the senior associate level, before the MBA cycle, before the promotion track solidified, before anyone characterized the timing as optimal. The Sunday flights were real. The framework thinking was real. The exit offer from a consumer goods company was real. She took it. She spent 7 years building from inside a company rather than advising one. She constructed an internal strategy function from 3 people to 40. She demonstrated results. She advanced. She never returned for the MBA. She did not need it. She was being paid to make the decisions the MBA-credentialed firms were being engaged to recommend. Her Tuesday unfolds as follows. 8 a.m. A McKinsey team presents the findings of a 14-week operating model engagement. She asks for questions the partner cannot fully address in the room. She schedules a follow-up and does not smile when she does so. 9:30 a.m. A BCG principal requests the mandate for a supply chain transformation. She tells him she will consider it. She has already decided. Noon. She attends her son's school performance, which begins at 12:15. She is in her seat when the curtain rises. She is home by 3 o'clock. The partners whose careers required 39 years to construct appear in her calendar at her discretion. They answer her calls on the first ring. They restructure team compositions when she requests it. They revise proposals when she asks for a different framing. She controls the budget that determines which consulting relationships remain active and which quietly go unrenewed. She left at year 2 with a business card that read Senior Associate. She took the exit that every engagement manager at every top-tier consulting firm tells themselves they will eventually take once the timing aligns. She took it when the timing was wrong, before the MBA, before the promotion, before anyone validated the decision. She built the other side of the table from the ground up. The hierarchy documented here runs entirely on her budget. The question the industry cannot answer with confidence is whether the people who stayed built more than the people who left, or whether they simply built something that more closely resembles the industry from the inside. Aurora does not hold a strong view on the question. She has a board meeting in 20 minutes. She picks up her notebook and walks to the elevator without looking back at the screen.